Welcome to the Special Forces in World War II YouTube channel created by the Special Forces in World War II team.
Harbor targets are hard to get at, hard to hit. Shore defense presents special tough problems. Against air attack, the enemy stations flak boats well out at sea to signal the alarm. Air centers collate intelligence, organize flights of land-based defense fighters. Barrage balloons prevent low-level attack, and concentrations of anti-aircraft send up a thick pattern of fire. The Tirpitz, here knocked out on April 3, 1944, was reported July 31, 1944, repaired and ready for action again. Against sea attack, enemy destroyers scout the waterway approaches to the harbor, as do patrol planes. Small fleets of mine layers make these approaches hazardous. Hydrophonic detectors stand by to dispatch squadrons of fighter planes. And finally, coast artillery, light guns, big guns. The harbor is a good shelter. Booms, submarine nets, minefields, coast guns, anti-aircraft, nearby airports, radar. The sweeter the target, the heavier the shore defense. Allied naval superiority may have forced the Nazis and Japanese to landlock their warships for protection, but these landlocked ships nevertheless serve as threats to our convoys, tie up important Allied units which have to stand guard against sneak hit-and-run raids. Enemy bridges could be blown up. Troop ships could be hit at the moment of disembarkation. Canals could be bottled up. Submarine pens put out of commission, but shore defense protects them well against normal sea and air attacks. Every major German and Japanese-held harbor presents in itself a number of tempting objectives. All these and many more are choice targets, and yet to date shore defense makes it difficult to destroy them without disproportionately expensive losses in men and equipment. In the spring of 1944 at Chesapeake Bay, a different form of attack was tested, involving a single missile, which, using special OSS techniques, could get through enemy harbor barriers by deception, which could be precisely controlled to a specific target, and which, operating without personnel, would be expendable. For purposes of this test, 2 men are used to take the motorboat out to its point of rendezvous with the plane. The plane carries on board the Campbell operator, who alone will control the motorboat, even though he will be miles away when rendezvous is established. The boat is a 34-foot A2 Hacker craft with a low silhouette. Powered by a 550-horsepower engine, it can do 35 miles an hour for a range of 220 miles. While carrying a maximum load of 5,000 pounds of explosive. The range can be extended by adding gas tanks. The craft is a projectile. It carries no personnel. In addition to its explosive charge, it has a radio control receiver and a television transmitter. The television camera, housed in the white box on the bow, is standard Army Air Forces portable equipment. In this test, a plane is used as the control. All the equipment the Campbell operator needs is a television receiver, including the screen, and a radio transmitter. Instead of the plane, the operator could be in a mothership, a submarine, another motorboat, or at a concealed position ashore. Rendezvous is established. The operator studies his screen. Now takes over control. From this point on, the motorboat is entirely governed by radio and television. Control by television can be successfully operated at ranges up to 85 miles. The television camera constantly scans the scene over the bow of the missile and transmits the images. The operator on the plane clearly sees the missile's course, and by radio he sends out impulses, completely controlling the missile's direction and speed. Television makes it possible for the operator to steer the boat clear of harbor craft, buoys, surface defensive obstructions. The motorboat is precisely controlled by radio. Even in these tests, where a wide margin of safety is observed to avoid collision with Chesapeake Bay shipping, the boat is brought up close to theoretical targets. The motorboat speeds head-on into the freighter, is constantly guided by the operator in the plane, who abruptly brings it up short. Another shot, camera this time aboard the target. The operator takes the boat out on a test run. Still far off, he searches his television screen, picks a ferry boat in the bay as a sample target. The missile keeps coming until the operator swings it off course. Preliminary tests having proved successful, preparations were begun in August 1944 on full-scale tests involving actual operational factors. The SS San Pablo, a 5,000-ton freighter anchored in the Gulf of Mexico off Pensacola, was selected as the target. Work began on the disguise. For deception purposes, Campbell lends itself easily to a variety of possibilities. As a fishing boat native to the area of operations, as one of the miscellaneous utility craft that crowd harbors, even as an enemy supply or light combat vessel, such as the German E-boat. In this case, the hacker was converted into a rusty, weather-beaten Danish Spritzel fishing boat. The job, aging included, took a week. The choice of the fishing boat disguise is especially apt for an OSS sabotage operation. No matter how thoroughly guarded an enemy-held harbor may be, the authorities, pressed for food, are forced to let the local fishing fleet continue operating. The missile, properly disguised, could be slipped into the fleet from a mother ship, from a submarine, or by OSS operatives working in enemy territory. Once inside the harbor, it would be guided by remote radio television control into the target. The hacker, converted into a Danish fisherman, rides heavy seas. The plywood hull built over the false frame takes the pounding with no sign of distress. The disguise, however, is not completed. To kill the giveaway speedboat exhaust, special mufflers are attached. The motors themselves are soundproofed by nailing thick layers of Celotex to the hatches. Provision is made to simulate the characteristic chug-chug of a fishing boat diesel engine. A motion picture soundtrack and sound head are placed on shock mounts under the false deckhouse aft. The strip of film is spliced into a continuous loop. The chug-chug repeats endlessly. Also under the false deckhouse is a mechanism which chemically produces smoke. The pot, not shown here, is placed under the blower. The alternate timer sends the smoke out in natural puffs, properly synchronized with the simulated engine exhaust. As for underwater monitors, hydrophonic detectors will not distinguish the speedboat's motors from a fishing craft's engines when the speed is under 800 RPM. Under 800 RPM, the reception on both types of engines is the same. To determine this point, hydrophonic detection tests were made with an ARB at Fisher Island. The ARB's speed is 600 RPM. This is the sound picked up on the hydrophonic detectors. All boat traffic in the vicinity was stopped for purposes of these tests. Speeds, in this case 1,500 RPM, the reception on the ARB is different. Now at 2,500 RPM. A JR boat tested at 500 RPM gives this recording on the hydrophonic detectors. The JR at 1,000 RPM. Now at 2,400 RPM. The disguised missile will of necessity be making its approach to the target at the normal speed of fishing craft, which of course is well under 800 RPM. At such speeds, hydrophonic detectors, as demonstrated, will not differentiate the speedboat's motors. When the missile goes over 800 RPM, it is on its target run, and the necessity for disguise no longer exists. To get back to the Danish fishing boat K354, Emil firmly grasps the tiller and the disguise is finished. Behind the plywood, the serious business begins of fitting into place the high explosive charges. The pin-up device might be called the nose of the projectile. It works on the principle of a double-barreled pistol. Fixed on the concealed boom, it's the first to hit the target. On contact, an explosive charge shoots the two pins deep into the hull. Steel cables are fastened to the pins and hold the load of depth bombs close to the target. Cross-section view of the missile shows how the scuttling charge of primacord is hidden inside the hull. That is the plan, to aim the bow of the missile into the San Pablo. The pin-up device makes contact, driving the two pins into the side of the target. The missile is scuttled. The cables attached to the pins hold the explosives close to the ship. 25 feet below, the bombs will go off. If for any reason the pin-up misses the target, the scuttling charge will still go off so long as contact is effected by the missile at any point. Contact firing switches for that purpose are placed at 4-foot intervals around the gunnels to detonate the primacord. The bombs go in, 14 of them for a total explosive charge of 3,400 pounds. This boat, the A2, has a capacity of 5,000 pounds. Larger boats are available and can be used for Campbell. The A3 is 37 feet in length, 3 feet longer than the A2, but its beam is 11 feet 3 inches and it can carry 10,000 pounds of explosive. Like the A2, the A3 has a top speed of 35 miles per hour. The range is also the same for both, 300 miles. The ARB, however, has a cruising range of 2,200 miles. At top speed, 30 miles an hour, its range is 700 miles. The ARB is 85 feet long with a 20-foot beam and can hold 50,000 pounds of explosive. Any desired type of explosive can be used. Depth bombs, depth charges, aerial bombs, torpedo warheads, block TNT, cast Torpex, or whatever may be available in the theater of operations. For the gun run against the San Pablo, the missile is loaded with depth bombs containing Torpex. Top section view of the missile shows how the 14 bombs are fixed into position. The explosive effect of Torpex is 1.4 times as great as that of TNT. The television equipment is brought up. Left to right, conversion unit, transmitter with cabling and wishbone antenna, dynamotor, and junction box. The conversion unit is fitted into an acoustic box. The box excludes sound vibrations which might mar the clarity of the images transmitted. At this time, too, radio control equipment is installed. The batteries are kept charged. The fishing craft K-354 out of Copenhagen is ready for operations against the San Pablo. Drop the disguise and the true nature of the craft as an attacking projectile becomes revealed. Television antenna and camera, television transmitter, radio control receiver. The B-17 used as the control plane is quickly fitted out for Campbell. Radio control equipment above. Below, the television receiver. The rubber hood attached to the screen cuts off outside light and permits clear vision. The plane takes off to rendezvous with the K-354. Two men take the missile out from the dock. The operator is ready to take over control. The crew of the missile goes overboard, is picked up by the boat from which these shots were taken. The missile is now completely under the control of the plane. Radio control is easily operated. Different officers take a hand at it. Guided by the television view of the craft's course, the operator steers the missile steadily on its way to the San Pablo. Left rudder, right rudder. Remote radio control also allows the operator to accelerate or reduce speed. A telemetering device fitted up on the missile is recorded by the camera. This device makes it possible for the operator, studying his television screen miles away, to know at all times how fast the boat is going. Remote radio control also allows the operator to stop the missile and start it again, to turn the diesel engine soundtrack on and off, to send smoke puffing through the stack, to set off the scuttling charge at any time. These aerial shots were not taken from the control plane, but from a second B-17, which kept circling the missile for photographic purposes. This is exactly what the operator sees on the screen of the television receiver. Note compass foreground, an integral part of the camera on the missile. The compass helps the operator hold a true course. These are actual, unretouched motion pictures of the images transmitted from the missile. They were taken from a second monitor television screen. As can be readily understood, the television images lose some degree of clarity in the photographing. The operator at the television controls sees a much sharper image. The San Pablo first came into view 5 miles away from the missile. She is now 1 mile dead ahead. At the actual scene, the missile rides low in the water, is not easily discernible. Middle right. The surface shots were taken from 2 boats anchored at different angles less than a mile from the freighter. The camera plane which took the aerial shots flew in a constant circle, 4,500 feet away from the target, 1,000 feet up. The run of the missile toward the target in slow motion. Target run. The San Pablo seen on the television screen from the bow of the missile as it goes right in. Scuttling charge. The depth bombs are going down. The hydrostatic fuses are set to go off at 30 feet. The back of the San Pablo has been broken. Note in this and the following shots how the foremast points at the mainmast. The depth bombs were timed as going off exactly 25 seconds after the pinup device hit. The freighter sank in 1 minute and 40 seconds. The San Pablo rests on the bottom in 85 feet of water. Operation completed as planned. Divers later went down to determine the nature of the damage. Excerpts from the divers' reports follow. Damage to the hull for the main part consisted of a hole below the waterline, approximately 60 by 40 feet. The ship's back was broken. Plates were torn away. Rivets scattered. Deck plates were parted. Daylight could be seen over the entire beam. The missile itself was destroyed so thoroughly that no information could be gained by the enemy from the debris. The widespread area of destruction indicates that pinpoint contact is not essential. The shock wave was estimated to have had a radius of 500 feet. If the disguise of the missile becomes revealed at close quarters, the target can do little by that time to save itself. The missile will be close enough, especially if use is made of the A3 37-footers or the 85-foot ARB. The run of the missile into the San Pablo is repeated in slow-motion aerial shots. They clearly show the shock wave created by the explosion of the depth bombs. Forward scuttling charge. Now the aft scuttling charge. Watch for shock wave. The Campbell missiles are ready for immediate use. Naturally, each operation would have to be individually planned. The nature of the target selected would determine the choice of disguise for the missile, the way of slipping it into enemy waters, the location of control equipment, the type of explosive desired, etc. But a number of A2s, A3s, and ARBs are on hand. All equipment necessary is available for assembly, and trained personnel are prepared to begin operations at once.
Thank you for watching the Special Forces in World War II YouTube channel, an unwavering digital fortress committed to preserving the history of elite and specialized units in World War II. Our mission is clear: to provide a comprehensive view of the elite units and formations that played pivotal roles in the Second World War. This extensive dossier includes their frontline battles, innovative weaponry, strategic maneuvers, and the brave soldiers who faced the crucible of combat. The World War II SOF Virtual Museum is our dynamic field operation, continually uncovering layers of historical knowledge. We also maintain outposts on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to enhance our information dissemination. If you possess relevant intelligence to support our mission, don't hesitate to share it with us. Your contributions will be prominently featured in our operational archives. For those willing to provide substantial support, visit our Patreon forward base and enlist. Your backing is crucial to sustaining our mission. Together, let's carry forth this legacy.